We are going to be doing lesson 5 in the subunit in Mysteries and Investigations. So we are going to click on Mysteries Investigations, 6B. Once you are here, you are going to go to subunit 2 and click on the secret of the yellow death. And then we are going to come down to lesson 5 in this subunit, meeting the team. We are going to start off by doing the vocabulary activity. So you will click on card 1. And then when you click on card 1, it is going to prompt you to go through the vocab app and complete the vocab activity. Once you go through the vocab app and complete that, you will click next activity, and that will take you to card 2. Card 2. It's talking a lot about what makes a good teammate and how teams can be stronger. Below, there are qualities of a good teammate, and it wants you to drag and drop and rate these qualities from least important to most important. So we have least important, somewhat important, very important, and most important. And our qualities are skillful, easy to work with, hardworking, trustworthy, and then other. So you are dragging and dropping the qualities from least important to what you think is most important. And when you finish that, you will scroll down. And if you chose other, you are writing that character trait below. Once you finish both of these tasks, you will press hand in, and it will take you to card 3. Card 3 is getting to know Dr. Reed. Reread Chapter 2, Paragraph 3 below. What do we learn about Dr. Reed's character traits? Read each quote and then click on the character trait that it reveals. So, there are quotes here on the left, and then you are choosing which character trait that reveals. So, A. This quote says, he was a young army doctor tending settlers, soldiers, and Apaches on a lonely frontier outpost. B. He went back to school at age 39 to study bacteriology, a new branch of medical science. C. For 10 more years, Reed had hoped to make a major contribution while he did research and taught students at the U.S. Army Medical School. Or D. Reed had dreamed of being able to do something big, something important, something that he hoped would alleviate human suffering. So alleviate means to make less. So you are choosing what trait this quote fits best. Skillful, easy to work with, hardworking, or trustworthy. And you will just click the dots that you feel they fit. Next, you are selecting a quote and copying and pasting it here, and you're explaining which trait this reveals and why. So you're just choosing a quote to copy and paste. When you are finished, you will click Next, which will take you to number 2. Read the statements below and answer the questions that follow. This question has 2 parts. Part 1. When the ship docked at around 11, Reed was ready to move is an example of, and there's a drop down, telling or showing. So you're choosing if this is telling or showing. Pick the best answer. Part 2, what do you learn about Reed's character from this detail? A, he is eager to begin the investigation. B, he needs to eat. C, he is hardworking. Or D, he has experience sailing ships. Number 2, this question has 2 parts. Part 1, after dropping his bags at the office headquarters, he was off again, dashing across the grounds to visit Major Keene in the camp's yellow fever hospital just outside of the base. Is an example of showing or telling. So you decide. What do you learn about Reed's character from this detail? A, he is eager to begin the investigation. B, he is happy to leave his bags. C, he is athletic. Or D, he overpacks for his trips. Again, this question has two parts. Part 1. Reed had read descriptions of yellow fever, but this was the first live case he had ever seen. He was hungry for information. This is an example of showing or telling. And what does it mean in part 2 when Germaine says Dr. Reed was hungry for information? A, he was malnourished. B, he was robotic. C, he was curious. Or D, he was starving. Choose the best answer and then press next. Number 3, reread the passage and highlight 5 details that describe Dr. Reed. So the passage will be here on your left, and you are going to highlight 5 details that describe him. Number 2, add a note to each detail. Identify the character and the character trait that the detail describes. Ask yourself, what does the detail reveal about who Reed is? In your note, write the character name and character trait. Example, Dr. Reed, brave. So you are highlighting and then you are using the feature add note. So over to the left, you are highlighting whatever part of the text you want. You will click highlight and then there will be a place to add a note. Obviously, you need to pause this video when you are completing these tasks and then resume when you are finished for the next one. Number 3, we will not be doing this if you are at home. Number 4, together come up with 3 key traits for Dr. Reed. So you will just be doing that independently, coming up with 3 key traits and writing them in this space provided. You will save and press continue when you are finished. Then you will go to number 4. This is telling us to review the details that we highlighted that the author used to describe Reed, and then we're reviewing the key traits, and then we're going to take this poll. Based on the way she presents and describes Dr. Reed, what is the author's point of view, their opinion of Dr. Walter Reed? She presents him as a good choice to lead the investigation. She presents him as a poor choice to lead the investigation, or other. Choose the best option here. Scroll down. If you selected other, please explain your response in the box provided. When you are finished with that, press hand in the bottom right. We are then moving on to card 4. Select text is getting to know the rest of the team. Students will use details to develop a character profile for remaining members of the team and determine the author's point of view. Now that we have looked at how text show us Dr. Reed's character traits, it's time for you to turn your attention to the new members of the task force, Dr. Carroll, Dr. Lazier, and Dr. Agramonte. Choose one researcher to profile and share your findings with the group members. Again, if you are home, you are doing this all independently. Reread the passage and highlight the 5 details to describe your assigned character. So you can pick a character if you are at home, whichever doctor you would like to choose, and then you will do these tasks based on that. You are adding a note to each detail, identifying the character and the character trait the detail describes. You need to ask yourself, what does the detail reveal about who this person is? In your note, write the character name and the character trait. So again, if you are home, you are not going to be adding the highlight and the passages that partners found for the character traits. You are just doing the one that you chose. After you complete that, you can skip. And in this space below, if you are at home, you can just type in skip. And then you will click on number 2. Based on the way the author presents and describes each character, what is her point of view of each of them? So choose what you think is best for the character that you chose. When you are finished, you will press hand in and come to card number 5. This question has 2 parts. Part 1. What is the common characteristic that the author conveys about all of the team members? So, what do we think just based on reading it, whether you chose one doctor or all 3? What is conveyed about all of them? A, bravery, B, humor, C, athleticism, or D, cooperation. Choose now. In part 2, click on the sentence from the passage that best supports your answer to part 1. So you are deciding which sentence in here. A, they couldn't possibly get the disease again. B, none of the men on Reed's team had ever had a full-blown attack of the yellow fever. C, Reed had certainly never had the disease. Neither had Lazier or Carroll, though there was a chance that the Cuban-born Agramonte might have had a very mild case as a small child. He was not definitely immune. D, and all 4 doctors knew that by being on the fever-stricken island of Cuba, by coming close to sick patients, and by studying bacteria in the lab, they were running a serious risk of getting yellow fever. So you are choosing what passage best supports your answer, and then you will hand in. When you finish this, you are good to go.